Welcome to the Democratic Socialism Simulator. That's the game we're going to get started on. This game came out 2020 or so. I'm not going to take us through the whole tutorial, just going to point out we have carbon emissions in the lower right, that's the gray. We have people power in red, though it's empty, so you can't see it much right now. And then we have funds in the yellow. We're going to try to keep that positive. When that goes negative, that's when people overthrow us. The premise of this game, by the way, is that you play as the first Democratic Socialist president elected in the United States, and you've got 4 years to do as much good as possible and then get reelected and then do another 4 years. You are considered to win if you do a whole 8 years and get as much good as possible, including get the carbon emissions way down. And you can get cooed. That has happened to me. It happened to me the first 5 times I've played. It happened to me the last time I played where I tried to record it here. And you can just get not elected as well. So those are some things to consider. In the lower left here, we start out with a slim majority of Congress, and then there's a countdown telling us when the next elections will occur. So there's midterms in addition to the presidential election, so we can gain or lose seats in Congress, even if I know I'm going to be safe as the president. And that will depend on the voters being closer or farther away from me, which you'll see in this bottom center part right here. Let's get started. Let's do this. Drag this card left. We're going to get presented with things. The simulation assistant is presented as a cyberpunk deer. And we're going to say, no, I've done this before, and I just explained to you everything you need to know. So we're going to go right in. Press Secretary, Peacock. I love the animal choices. You'll see that as we go. Congratulations, this is your first day as president. Have you chosen a theme for your inauguration speech? So one of the ways that I have found to help win this game is that the more symbolic choices you can make that are more mainstream or normie, go for those. And then when it comes to the material differences, you have some more leeway with the voters. So I would say political revolution right off the bat, but I'm just going to get cooed again if I do that. So we'll go with hope this time. And you see that brings over a lot more people, whereas I say political revolution, it pushes away the people. And the voters are organized by the top 2 things that matter to them. You can see the free market people are pushed away by the political revolution, and everyone loves hope. So we're going to go with hope. How would you like your inauguration ceremony to be? See, you can see which people get pushed away or not by that. We're going to go with humble. Win over some of the people who are concerned about our fiscal situation. Democrat, donkey, wonderful ceremony, moving speech. Now we have to start working. So many proposals, so little time. Let's do it. Defense advisor, the eagle. I'm notifying you that the Iraqi government is calling for all foreign troops to leave. They want us out. The options are no, we call the shots, or withdraw. We're going to withdraw. Getting out of there. Surely you are aware that leaving Iraq would jeopardize our presence in the whole region. ISIS might surge. That's what they say to keep an ongoing war never ending, but we're going to withdraw. And you can see that saves us a lot of money and wins over the voters who care about internationalism. Union leader, who I think is a beaver. The gender pay gap is still a thing, and it shouldn't be. Reintroduce the Paycheck Fairness Act, a step in the right direction. Equal pay for equal work, let's do it. We're increasing some of that people power, just getting started. Defense advisor, at your earliest convenience, here's the draft for the Pentagon budget. Nothing new, only needs a rubber stamp. Let's re-examine it, actually. Budget item, Space Force, brand new branch, still figuring out its purpose, very promising. We are cutting that, and that's going to save us some money. One thing that I don't love about this game is that it doesn't incorporate modern monetary theory into it, so the game does operate on the idea that taxes fund services and that you can go into too much debt, whereas modern monetary explains how that actually doesn't apply. In a government that has currency sovereignty, which the United States does, this is not true of all governments, but in a government that has currency sovereignty, taxes do not fund services. I don't know how to say that in a way that people get right away. I think it takes a while to wrap your head around it. What is important to know is that city and state governments don't have currency sovereignty. Only federal government does. So taxes do not fund services at the federal level. They do fund services at the city and state level. Anyway, that's more detail than is necessary for this game. The treasurer, who is a squirrel with a gold acorn necklace, which I love. Why don't we simplify the income return and let taxpayers file online for free? 1000%. The reason that we don't currently have an easy tax paying option like this is because of places like TurboTax and Quicken and all of them. They lobby the government. So every time the Republicans say stuff like it should be as easy as a simple postcard, great. That's a lot of fancy talk, but then they're the ones who are even more in bed with any corporate lobbying that's happening, and that's happening with TurboTax and Quicken. So we're going to kill TurboTax. We're going to win over some voters and save some cash. Budget item, Defense Advisor, F-22 and F-15 fighter jets. Obsolete but cool looking. More of a job creation program, to be honest. We're going to defund them. The one thing that is happening right now is that we are storing a lot of money, but we can only store so much in that bar. Yeah, there we go. Treasurer, thank you. We have an extravagant budget surplus. When the bar is full, the extra money goes to a new sovereign wealth fund. Love that. And it's used to buy share in existing companies. Basically, we slowly and legally socialize the means of production. So that's one key reason why we want to keep that surplus going up, because it means that we're socializing everything the more we do that. Tech guru, who is maybe an opossum? America craves for a new space program. Children need to be inspired by the final frontier. Do we want to revive NASA, which will bring some spending down, win over the free market and defense people? Or do we want to say sci-fi is enough and win over the fiscal policy people? The last time I played, the thing that did me in was the debt. Maybe I'll hold off on reviving NASA when I'm going to be asked about expanding Medicare for all, and I would rather do that. So we'll say sci-fi is enough for now. Defense Advisor, budget item, nuclear arsenal modernization. If somebody has to blow up the world, it should be us. Salient. I am going to cut that. I don't want to blow up the world. I think there is an argument for modernizing if it means making everything safer, because some of that stuff runs on scarily old technology for the fact that it is a nuclear weapon. So that's scary. But as far as this game, we're going to cut. Squirrel, treasurer, our sovereign wealth fund is growing. Where should we invest in? Biotechnology or renewables? We're going renewables. We're going to increase the people power and decrease the carbon emissions. Civil rights leader represented by a Black Panther. This is my favorite one. I shouldn't even tell you this, but legalize pot. Done. 1000%. Easy decision. Wait, you also got to get people with marijuana-related convictions out of jail. Another easy decision. Wait, you also got to invest all the revenues into the communities fucked over by the war on drugs. Again, easy decisions. Love that. You can see now it's a good thing we had so much surplus. We're digging into that a little bit, and we're also big time increasing people power. So this is great. Union leader, stop right there. Let's not create another big tobacco. Co-ops for marijuana businesses. Labels, health standards. Absolutely. I'm with you there. That's another big increase for the people power. Treasurer, we are ready to purchase more stocks with our sovereign wealth fund. What sector should we focus on? Real estate or manufacturing? That's interesting. Let's see. Real estate will bring in some people who are a little farther away and bring up the people power. Manufacturing will bring in some people who are a little closer, still increase the people power, but it does raise carbon emissions. I say let's go with real estate. That seems to make a bigger difference for me in this moment in this game. Press secretary. Having trouble connecting with Christians? Visit the Pope. He is a crypto leftist after all. So here is another option where I can basically win over some voters for a symbolic thing. Let's visit the Pope.
Hi, this is Martin San. I'm the editor for this video. I'm from Argentina, as well as the Pope. And I wanted to tell you that Pope Francis wasn't a crypto leftist. He was, in fact, a Peronist. And he wasn't crypto about it either. So, cheers. Look up for Francis. Bye.
I always forget the Bible verses that they ask. Let's see. I can bring in those Christian people, or I can bring in the justice people. If I recall correctly, that means that the Romans one is not something I want to be sharing, but let me look it up. Yeah, Romans 1:26 through 27 is, because of this, God gave them over to shameful lusts. Even their women exchanged natural sexual relations for unnatural ones. In the same way, the men also abandoned natural relations with women and were inflamed with lust for one another. Men committed shameful acts with other men and received in themselves the due penalty for their error. So that's some homophobic stuff. That's from the New International Version, by the way. Versus Matthew 21:12. Again, the New International Version is, Jesus entered the temple courts and drove out all who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of those selling doves. Yes, if you're trying really hard to win the game, you might make that sacrifice, but I'm not going to do that here. We're going with table turning and justice. Press Secretary, is it Christmas already? What are you going to say in your video message? So we have Merry Christmas, wins over the Christians, pushes back some people. Happy Holidays really pushes back the Christians. This one I just care way less about, so I'm going to say Merry Christmas, and that's going to bring in some people. I'll say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. I'll do both. That's fine. Immigration advisor, who's a flamingo. Something about it makes sense to me. I don't know what. Maybe just birds and immigration. But let's provide a swift pathway to citizenship for the millions of undocumented immigrants in America. Yes, I agree. Sounds reasonable, and we're going to increase that people power. The New Pork Times, represented by a pig wearing a monocle. Great. Question, what did you mean by winning the class war? Class as in bourgeoisie, proletariat, or class as in style, fashion? This is an opportunity to win over some people that I'm going to be alienating. I'll be crypto leftist here and say, oh yeah, style, fashion, totally what I meant. Healthcare advisor, who's a rhinoceros. Sorry to interrupt. The constituents are anxious. Will you push for Medicare for all? If we say health, yeah, I think it might cost a lot, but we're going to do it. We've got a good budget surplus right now. Here we go. You could establish a single payer plan. The government covers all the bills. Simpler, less wasteful, just lovely. And we have the slim majority to get it passed. It's going to bring down our budget, but it's going to big time increase people power. That's a big one. Let's do it, and we'll see what we have to save for or hold for later in the meantime. Breaking news from Fox News, represented by a fox. Socialized healthcare is actually slavery. One thing that I want to say about this, how many conservatives will call something that is very much not slavery, they will call it slavery to talk about it being bad. And then when they talk about literal slavery, they say that it actually wasn't that bad. Watch how many conservatives do it. It's wild. Okay, moving on. Civil rights leader. Here's a no-brainer. Police should be more diverse and officers should live in the communities they serve. I support that, and it's only a little bit of the budget. Transportation advisor who looks like a horse. Our glorious highways are crumbling. We have to invest in roads, bridges, motorways. If we fix every pothole that brings voters to us, spends a lot of money into our deficit, and increases carbon. I'm going to say, but I hate cars. Tech guru. There's a lot of buzz around a startup that can teach former miners to code. Blam! Instant middle class. So we're going to go for that. It's going to win over some voters, spend a little bit of money. Tech guru. Introducing the solar roof. It looks like a normal roof, but it produces energy. Develop it. I think that's going to pay off later on. Immigration advisor. Should we keep building the wall on the Mexico border? We are like 13% done. Stop the madness. Treasurer, what about a 70% tax on earnings above $10 million? That's what we used to do until the 70s. Interesting. I wonder why that stopped. Yes, tax the rich. Now we get a big boon of money. Thank goodness. Fox News. The government will take most of your earnings when you become a multimillionaire. I should hope so. Attorney, who looks like a hound. The Supreme Court is still dominated by old conservatives and threatens to overturn your policies. Should we reform it? But how? We can add 2 new seats to rebalance the Supreme Court. The Republicans turned it into a partisan body. Let's take it back. So we need a supermajority for this. We only have a slim majority. So we can say it won't pass maybe later, or other ideas. It won't pass maybe later? Oh shoot, I guess I should have gone for other ideas. Press secretary, a crowd pleaser, solar panels on the White House. Jimmy Carter did it first. That's true. But yeah, install. This is Transportation Advisor. Make public transportation sexy. With a major investment, we can fix and expand our sad infrastructure. Yes, let's do that. Tech Guru. The sharing economy, man. We can reduce car use by letting Uber do their thing. I don't know what regulate or disrupt actually means we're doing in this, but I can see that. Interesting. I need to bring over some of those free market people, so that's what we're doing. Disrupt. That's not an endorsement of Uber. Housing advisor, who's a turtle with a bandana. Yo, is it time to tackle the housing crisis? I think it is, as a matter of fact. We propose a big trust fund to create millions of affordable housing units. No ghettos, no red lines. Yeah, build it and fix. Only cost a little bit and got some people power. Education advisor. Motion to cancel the student debt affecting millions of Americans. Shit. This is where once we cancel it, it's going to put us in some deficit, I think. We have failed a generation. Student debt is a major crisis that we can end immediately. Yeah, we go into the deficit. We'll have to get it back, but we do win over voters and people power. Treasurer, we are officially in deficit. That means spending exceeds revenues. It makes me quite nervous. Of course it does, Treasurer. United Nations, a blue whale. Have you thought about a gift to bring at the ambassador's swearing-in ceremony? We have either an antique gun or pet eagle. Antique gun is going to do more with the voters who love me the least, so we're going to do that. And also don't give people live animals as pets. That's messed up. Donkey. It's redistricting time. I was thinking, why don't we hire Jerry Salamander to redraw the electoral districts in our favor? If we say unfair, that wins over people who already love us. If we say gerrymander everything, that brings all the voters closer. So as someone trying to garner support for what I consider to be the just things that we need, we're going to gerrymander everything. Treasurer, a carbon tax is a beautiful way to make polluters pay and incentivize a transition. I love it. I love it too, and we have the slim majority needed. And that also puts us out of the deficit. The New Pork Times. Please, a comment about the Blackface incident. Yeah, don't love that. I think it's not supposed to be me. I think I'm commenting on someone else. I think there are other ways to respond to this, but I'm definitely not responding to it with different times. That's a messed up response. So I'm going to go with I'm outraged. Civil rights leader. It's outrageous. Our prison system rakes in millions from free inmate labor and inflated phone call fees. Yes, it is outrageous. I will end this. Jacqueline Magazine, represented by a jackalope. The left must keep lefting. Could not agree more. I'm going to send that to the left. Press secretary. So what are you going to wear to tomorrow's rally? We can do a suit or a t-shirt. The suit actually wins over some people I need to win over, so we're going to do that. Defense advisor. We have rumint of Iran enriching uranium. New sanctions or new treaty? We're going to go with treaty. That wins over the internationals and is also just better than sanctioning. Energy advisor and electric eel. Love that. For a swift transition to renewables, we need to create a new agency, a power marketing administration. I agree, and that's going to help. I hate smart gadgets, but we need a smart grid to increase efficiency and adapt to renewables. Very smart, indeed. We're going to be spending quite a bit, but hopefully that'll pay off. Democrat, the midterm elections are upon us. I'm a bit nervous. I think we have voters on our side. We're in deficit. People don't like that, but the voters are close to us, so let's see. We maintained the same number of seats. We didn't get a super majority, but we still have our slim majority. Okay, good. Hopefully we'll do more. I love the music in general, and I love this song in particular. Now that we're in our second of the terms, or whatever it is. Democrat, oh my, we maintained control of Congress. We'll be able to legislate as smoothly as we did so far. Love that. It's a glass half full situation. Press secretary, the polls are clear. We need a pet in the White House. Cat brings in the voters I need to curry favor with. The New Pork Times. Profile. He was a coal miner. He learned to code, but tech jobs aren't coming to Appalachia. Let's see if we can do anything about that. Treasurer. Our Financial Stability Oversight Council detected an explosive growth of leveraged lending and collateralized loan obligations. I'm going to let Treasurer explain what that means. Treasurer. Banks are lending money to heavily indebted companies. The high-risk loans are then packaged and resold. Very 2008. The options are 2008 question mark and God bless them. Let's ask. 2008? A good year for indie music, but also the global financial crisis. Oh no, or indie music? Very funny, but we'll go with oh no. Oh yes, we can tighten lending standards, but the risk of another financial meltdown is real. Let's tighten. Let's do that. The other option was oh capitalism, which I definitely feel that, but let's not end there. We could raise taxes on corporations that have obscene pay gaps between CEOs and workers. Yes, thank you. Invest in the workers. It's insane to me that only collects so much. That should be way more. But yeah, it does help with the deficit a little bit. Democrat, we are in deficit. Only Republicans are allowed to blow big holes in the budget. We are the responsible ones. We're trying to make changes. Some of this, by the way, is randomized in terms of the order of the things that you are presented with. You kind of have to deal with that as best as you can. Treasurer, crazy idea. What if we taxed capital gains from stocks at the same rate as income? I would say tax them even more. But yes, hit them hard. And that pulls us out of the deficit, which is great. Alienate some voters. Lobbyist, represented by a shark. Get it? A nice economy you have right there. It would be a shame if something happened to it. I think we're just going to tell them to get lost. We can ask if this is a threat, but I'm not dealing with that. Fox News. Dow Jones plunges 800 points. Proof that socialism doesn't work. That's fine. Immigration advisor. Can we overturn the Muslim ban? It's kind of xenophobic, kind of unconstitutional. Overturn now. Dramatically increases the people power. Simulation assistant, the cyberpunk deer. Your pro-labor agenda convinced millions of working-class non-voters to get back into party politics. So one person who was defense-oriented, a voter's top priority changed from defense to manufacturing and labor. So that's great. We're making a difference here. Democrat. I love sci-fi. Have you seen that Star Trek episode in which they have automatic voter registration? I have not, but let's do it. I've seen 2 Star Trek episodes, I think. I've seen the newer movies. That'll be the thing that gets me canceled in this video, but let's do it. Treasurer. Corporations and billionaires are moving their wealth to offshore tax havens. I have a plan to stop them. I'm listening. To curb evasion, all countries should automatically exchange tax information. Make it happen. That does cost some money, but that's going to pay off later. Excited for that. Press secretary, you seem a little stressed. You should pick up a sport and show people you are not all work and no play. So we can do golf, win over some voters that are alienated from me. I'll win over the basketball voters eventually. Let's do golf. Though golf, by the way, if they gave the option of changing all golf courses into anything, I would jump at that option. Environmentalist, a polar bear. Why do bad guys always get away with it? Raise the penalty for polluters and pipeline leaks now. Yes, raise the fines. Housing advisor. 1. Tax house flippers. 2. Add a penalty for empty homes. 3. Give tax breaks to the folks who are being priced out of their hoods. 1, 2, 3, go. Love that. Treasurer. Switzerland is refusing to comply to tax transparency agreements. It's their whole biz. We can say whatever, or we can sanction them. We'll go with whatever. That's fine. Doesn't make a huge difference either way. And I don't want to get into a pissing contest with Switzerland. Treasurer. The biggest tax haven is the USA. Let's help other countries investigate their citizens hiding wealth here. So we can say, no, we want their money, or we can say fair enough, and that brings down our funds a whole lot. Oof. Yeah, if I had just sanctioned Switzerland, I might feel more hypocritical. I think that's why they do that. They show you Switzerland first. But it is fair. Hopefully we'll get more money another way. We'll see. Treasurer, it's curious how tax audits for the rich have been steadily declining. What if we increase them? Do it. That's a tiny little bit of money spent right now, but that one is going to pay off big time later. Press secretary, bad reputation among the elites, befriend a billionaire. Some of them are decent people. If I say class enemies, that wins over... It's actually weird how it wins over the free market people. If I say set up a date, that also wins over the free market people. I would have thought that calling them class enemies would have been worse for me with the voters, but that actually seems to be really helpful. So yeah, let's go with the honest feeling about it. Class enemies. Democrat. Infighting alert. A batch of leftist candidates are challenging our party incumbents. Don't endorse them. Yeah, I'll endorse them. Why not? Energy advisor, electric eel. Turbines everywhere. The wind generation potential is 9 times our energy demand. We're going to go with the wind. That does spend a lot and gets us down back into the deficit, but it also brings down the carbon. Hopefully those taxes will kick in soon, the audits. Environmentalist, wind turbines are literally killing all the birds. I read it on the internet. We should fund bird sanctuaries. That only costs a teeny bit. Lobbyist, you'd better include charging stations for electric vehicles in your smart grid overhaul. Let's tell the lobbyist to pay for it. Yeah. Healthcare advisor, darling, we can make healthcare completely free at the point of service. No bills, no co-payments, a dream. And we will. That costs a lot, which is messed up because it would actually be cheaper overall once we stop dealing with all the insurance stuff. But yeah, let's see what happens. The New Pork Times, opinion, class warfare is raging. It's time for dialogue. I am sure you think that. Union leader, your student loan cancellation primarily benefited the middle class. You better have something for workers too. Let's see what we can do. Democrat, let's recognize non-binary identities. We add a third gender option in all government documents. Bold. Love it. Progressive. Civil rights leader, since there are more than 3 genders, we are now having a heated debate over the official label, non-binary or queer. I don't know that I should be the one to get to make this decision. Either decision I make, I alienate the justice people. Oh, let's go with queer, question mark. Treasurer, we are printing money like the Weimar Republic here. Would you try to contain the deficit, please? Yeah, I'm working on that. Attorney, the opioid epidemic killed 400,000 Americans. I submit that we go after the corporations that enable it. Get them all. Energy advisor, let's invest in big solar power plants. We've got plenty of desert in the States. Go sun. Ooh, no, I think that is actually going to get me cooed if I do that. Shit. All right, we'll go with what if it's cloudy. I'm trying to stay in the game. Job transition, who's a mole with a flashlight hard hat. Your Green New Deal is killing legacy industries. Let's make sure workers aren't screwed over as usual. I'm listening. For starters, give laid-off fossil fuel workers 5 years of their former salary. That is absolutely fair, but I think it's going to get me cooed. We'll go with that as a lot. Rural advisor, who's an ox, maybe? Rural America has been neglected by the Democrats, but there is a lot we can do there. Let me help you. Join the team. Okay. Farming's gotten a get big or get out deal. Bust the monopolies and we'll all be merry. Break them up. Yeah, that doesn't cost us anything and increases people power. Treasurer, let's put pressure on our trading partners. A fee on imported goods that we deem pollution intensive. Love that. Economist, who is a lion. Investments are languishing, so I prepared an economic development package. Cash and near cash incentives. Incentivize costs money and increases carbon, so let's not do that. We're coming close to the election and some voters are alienated with me right now, so we have to figure this out. Union leader, damn those trade agreements. They let corporations ship jobs abroad and screw up American workers. So let's renegotiate them. That wins over some people. And, that does increase. Oh, shit, that's not good. Yeah, okay, let's do it. Economist, consider some good old-fashioned cuts to Social Security. The elderly will grumble. They always grumble anyway. It's wild how much money that would save, but no, we can't. That's just wrong. Economist, Wall Street is on strike. Investors dump assets, stocks dip down, retirement funds lose value, grandmas get upset. Oh no. I don't know if I'm going to win this next election now. I'm alienating voters. We're in deficit. Oh my. We are headed for inflation. Folks hate when their money lose value. Cut the deficit now. Oh no. I think I'm not winning this election. Economist, ho ho, anti-Santa is here. Save money by freezing all government salaries and benefits. That is going to alienate way too many people. I'm not going to do that to my workers. Democrat, the presidential elections are here. Will you get a second term? 4 more years? 4 more? I can't say that phrase the same way since Democrat voters shouted that over people protesting genocide. Can't say that the same way. I lost the elections. Okay. Lost the majority in Congress, and I think that also means I lost the presidential election too. So, oh, no, wait. Okay, I'm still the president. I thought that was a presidential election, but somehow I still made it work. But we're not going to be able to pass stuff. Okay. Treasurer, whew, here we go. Imagine a 0.5% tax on every financial transaction. It would limit speculation and raise a lot of revenue. Yes, make Wall Street pay. And that finally cuts in the deficit. Could have used that earlier. The Newport Times, new study by the Friedman Free Market Institute. The financial transaction tax is a tax on your savings. Sure. Immigration advisor, who is some kind of wolf. Your lovey-dovey immigration policies are quite unpopular. Can I help you find the right balance? Go away. Economist. Many viable businesses are shutting down due to the economic crisis. We bow to the inscrutable will of the market. I won't bow. No, leave me alone. Union leader. Workers should have first rights on buying out a company that is being dissolved. We can take it from there. Put it into law. The other option is too bullshit. That wins over some voters and increases people power. Here we go. We are recovering. Fox News. Question. You once said billionaires should not exist. Literally or figuratively? The only effect either way is winning over the free market voters, which I need to win over them. Economist. Eek. Investors are panicking and moving to stronger currencies. Jobs and revenues will take a hit. Oh, man. Again, with this, the hits. We need the taxes. Okay. Lobbyist. An offer you can't refuse. You give us a few tax-exempt development zones, and we'll start new businesses. That's cheating or take them. And that just loses way too much money anyway. There's no benefit to that. That's cheating. Democrat. Awkward. Some Democrats are joining the Republicans in a call for moderation and fiscal responsibility. This is messed up. So we have basically no representation in Congress anymore. Fox News. Hyperinflation and widespread corruption. This administration has no legitimacy. Our deficit is not even that bad anymore. Oh no, the voters are really far away now. The Newport Times. A party divided. Meme-wielding millennials unseat venerable centrists. I just hate the New York Times so much. Okay. Healthcare advisor. Will you include dental and vision coverage in our Medicare for all? Oh my, we'd be even better than Canada. Would love that, but it won't pass, so maybe later. Treasurer. Weird. The estate tax is full of loopholes. It's almost like it's designed by very wealthy people. What can? Close the loopholes. Finally, we are out of the deficit. Fox News. The death tax deserves to die. Americans brace for the latest expropriation. Leave us alone. The Newport Times. A bad climate for business. Capital disinvestment triggers crisis. Layoffs. I'm just so tired. That's... What? They're like even farther away. We've got to do something about this. Budget item. Black budget. It's a secret. What? It's a secret. I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you. Heh. I'm joking, of course. Do tell me. CIA, NSA, secret wars, illegal detention centers, the sensitive, the embarrassing, the unpopular. We are cutting that. We are winning over voters, and we are increasing our surplus, and we are stopping a grave injustice. This is great. Somehow we got more representation in Congress again. We needed that. That's great. Press secretary. Gun nuts hate you? Let's enjoy some recreational shooting. Fine. That'll win over some people. Yay, where should we go? We're going to the gun range. We're not going to go hunting. It's weird how it affects. It's such a big deal for people, but we're just going to the gun range. Great. Choose your weapon wisely. So we get to choose either the AK-47, which wins over the internationalist voters, or the AR-15, which wins over the, how do they describe them? Tradition, Christianity, and rural life voters. Again, symbolic. Would love to do the AK-47, but we're going to go AR-15, which is, it's a well-designed firearm anyway. It's good practice. Try it out safely in a gun range. Be safe. Civil rights leader. My friend, please don't go to the karaoke fundraiser for the Fraternal Order of Police. The options here are all right or cops are workers. And I want to be very clear here. Cops are not workers. Workers go to jail when they kill people. That's one thing. Number two is that the cops are in place exactly to protect capitalists from workers. Cops are not workers. So we're going to say, all right, we're not going to the karaoke for the Fraternal Order of the Police. Defense advisor, budget item, aircraft carriers. No other country has more than 2. We have 11. We'd like a 12th just to be sure. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to cut it down to 6. And some context as well, as long as I'm playing a game and have a platform to talk about some stuff. The United States spends more than roughly the next 10 countries combined on our military. The United States spends more than all other countries except for the top 5 outside of the United States. Every country on Earth spends closer to Costa Rica's $0 than the United States is almost 1 trillion at this point. Number 2 is China, and we spend over double. So every other country spends closer to 0 than the United States' budget. The United States has 75% of all foreign military bases in the world, which is roughly 800 bases in roughly 80 countries, has about half of all nuclear weapons. Russia has approximately the other half. A smattering of other countries have some nuclear weapons. And the United States has a number of nuclear weapons in countries in Europe close to Russia's border that it is antagonizing. You can remember that when Russia tried to do that with nuclear weapons in Cuba, that was the Cuban Missile Crisis, and the United States almost started World War III as a result. Some things to consider in the context of what it means to be cutting military budgets for the United States. We're cutting it down to 6. That's the compromise, and you can see that does a lot for a budget. So this is good. We're recovering. I think this might work. I think we're on a good track. Transportation advisor. Picture bullet trains zooming across our Great Plains. Railroads created America. They can revive it now. It's not going to pass. We don't have the votes, so maybe later. Energy advisor. Here's a plan. We increase subsidies for residential solar panels. Yeah, we actually have the money for that now. Thank God. Approved. Then we allow people to sell the excess energy with smart meters. Approved. Yes, people power and voters, and this is great. All right, we're back in the game. Union leader. And the solar panels are made in the USA. I don't care if the Chinese ones are cheaper. Approved or I disapprove. Interesting, the free market and the internationalists like that. The manufacturers, I think I'll win over the manufacturer voters later. The free market and the internationalists, they're farther away from me. Let's do that. Rural advisor, y'all gotta support organic farming. Make it real and cheap, not just an uppity brand. Preach. That does a lot of good for just a little bit of cost. Lobbyist, a PSA campaign about personal responsibility. Consumers, you can save the planet by recycling. Not true, though. We're not doing that. Anyone who doesn't know, recycling was a propaganda campaign created by corporations because they didn't want to deal with the responsibility themselves. They knew it wasn't going to be effective. For some context, 90% of all plastic that has ever been created has not been recycled. So they knew that it was not actually going to do the good for the earth, but it was just a way to skirt responsibility. Recycling needs to be at a systemic manufacturer production level. And recycling is also the last step. All the inputs into a system should not be anything that we have to deal with later. Cradle to Cradle is one organization that does some really cool stuff on that. And what they're doing matters, but we need massive changes for the whole entirety of the system of production. Immigration advisor. Under Donald Skunk, ICE and Customs and Border Protection have been acting like rogue detention agencies. It's embarrassing. Abolish ICE. We're doing it. We're alienating some people. Well, who are those voters? Those are the containing immigration, nationalism, and white supremacy voters. Fine, we'll alienate them. Immigration advisor. Maybe we can let the Department of Justice handle deportations and border protection like before 9/11. We can say, sounds good, or we can say, nah, we don't need borders. The nah, we don't need borders alienates a lot of people, greatly increases people power. The sounds good costs a bit of money. Let's see what happens if we say, no, we don't need borders. There's a difference, by the way, between open borders and abolish borders. I think what they're doing is just open borders, not abolishing them. There are some interesting reads on this. One comic book I really love, it's called Undocumented, and it is about the detention centers themselves that people are detained in when they are undocumented. That's a powerful read. There's a book called Open Borders, a comic book. There's a lot of good stuff in there, and it's written from a libertarian perspective, so I don't agree with everything in it and can't fully endorse it in that way. But it does advocate open borders. It's just the libertarian argument and encompasses a lot. That's interesting. Press Secretary, we can boost your approval with a big PSA campaign. USA, a nation of immigrants. So I can say no thanks, or I can say develop it. That will win over some voters. Yeah, why not? Okay. Union leader. Half of Amazon workers are being replaced by robots. The other half are paid peanuts. We are shutting this down. All right, let's see what happens. Newport Times. Amazon workers are on strike. Our inalienable shopping rights are in jeopardy. Oh, boo-hoo. Civil rights leader. 6 million convicted felons had their vote taken away. Disenfranchisement is morally unjustifiable. I completely agree. It's not going to pass, so we'll say maybe later. Lobbyist. The Amazon workers are occupying warehouses now. These hooligans are wrecking the whole economy. We can send the cops, which will win over the free market people. Interesting that the free market people love government intervention when it involves brutalizing workers and poor people. But I'm going to say let's negotiate. Union leader. We demand living wages, better benefits, and a plan to put Amazon under public ownership within 10 years. We get to choose if we want to send the cops still, but no, that sounds perfectly reasonable to me. Lobbyist. It is not reasonable. When the strike is over, Amazon will meet all the demands, but it will stay private. So I can say socialize Amazon, or I can say that's a compromise. I forget what happens if we go socialize Amazon, because it doesn't actually say that's a compromise wins over some voters. It wins over both free market people and workers. Let's do it. We're going to socialize Amazon. Treasurer. So we can gradually buy Amazon stocks and put workers' representatives on the board of directors. Pricey and priceless. So we can seize the means or we can buy the means. Buying the means costs a lot of money. Wins over some people, alienates others. We can seize the means. Let's do it. Let's seize the means. We're seasoned. Attorney, I'm afraid that is still unconstitutional. We ought to provide just compensation as per the Fifth Amendment. The Newport Times. Sued opioid giant files for bankruptcy. We are scapegoats. Of course you are. I'm starting to think I should have gone for the compromise. But somehow we get money from that because we won the lawsuit. That must be it. Job transition. Here's an easy one. Fossil fuel workers get priority job placement in Green New Deal projects. Yeah. Totally. The Newport Times. Crisis on Wall Street. Markets plunge. Government regulators warned about risky leveraged lending. Some of our budget goes down. Too bad. Economist. Yes, a handful of banks are solely responsible for this financial crisis, but they are too big to fail. Bail them out. Bailout incoming. Spends a lot of money. Wins over the free market people. Or no, don't do it. Treasurer. This time we can take them over. Bank nationalization is actually rather common. Would love that, but it won't pass, so maybe later. Lobbyist. It would be a shame if medical research came to a halt because you killed all the healthcare industry's profits. It's already publicly funded. If I say here's a grant buy, it costs a teeny bit and does win over voters. Okay, fine. Maybe I'll be less likely to get cooed now. Who knows? Treasurer. Let's create an international fund to support the investigation of tax evaders. IRSs of the world unite. Love that. Only costs a little bit. Hopefully that will pay off. Civil rights leaders. Heyo, bad guys win because they suppress the black vote. Bullshit ID laws, polling stations, shutdowns. Restore voting rights. Hopefully that will help us later too. But yes, absolutely. It's a matter of justice. Civil rights leader. A bunch of social justice orgs are putting pressure on your moderate pals. We've got your back. Love to see that. Okay, great. Oh, now we have half of Congress, so some things might be able to pass. Housing advisor. Public housing has a bad rep because the projects are underfunded. What are you going to do? I say fund them. That's totally worth it. Housing advisor. 500,000 Americans live in the street. House them and the rich folks will stop bitching about them. Completely agree. It is worth the cost. Even that only costs that much. So worth it. Oh my God. Houselessness is a moral atrocity, and it is completely feasible to solve it. Just give people housing. Yes, 1,000%. Our people power is like almost 100%. This is great. Job transition. Enough with vague retraining BS. If obsolete workers want to retrain, offer them free college education. We're not in a deficit if we do that. I say done. Energy advisor. Renewable energy sources are intermittent. We need to invest in energy storage. That's going to just dip us into deficit. Tiny little thing. Let's invest. The New Pork Times. The human race is doomed, but don't worry, the universe will go on without us. What a comforting thought. Treasurer. Wow, who knew that tighter tax audits on the rich would recover so much lost revenue? Finally, here it is. Okay, that was a little anticlimactic, but we're not in deficit anymore. I think I might win this one. Healthcare advisor. Our healthcare plan could cover long-term care, mental health, and substance abuse. Wouldn't it be nice? It would, but it's not going to pass, so maybe later. Healthcare advisor. Dang, some hospitals depended on inflated prices to be profitable. Now they are shutting down. Poor things. I don't know what you want me to pass. Back to me later. Democrat. Oh boy, the midterm elections are here again. Are you ready? I think this is going to work. We maintain the same number of seats in Congress. I guess I'm still president then, too. Excellent. We maintained our majority. Onward to the last half term. Here we go. I think this is the final round. Let's see what happens. Whew. Rural advisor. Now farmers can't even fix their own tractors without breaking law. Plain greed, if you ask me. Going right to repair. I couldn't agree more. If you're not familiar, right to repair, just like they said, farmers can't fix their own tractors when it breaks. It applies to a lot of other things too, including consumer goods. But it's just a way to ensnare people into having to pay the corporations. It voids warranties if you do mods, a variety of things like that. So right to repair says we're stopping that kind of thing happening. There are different ways that can look. Housing advisor. 2 million Americans are at risk of eviction right now. Give them tenant protections and support in court. We are supporting. Yes. Healthcare advisor. Is America ready to cover gender-affirming medical procedures for trans people? Oh, I really hope so. We have the capacity. Would you look at that? Yes, we're ready. We had the votes for it, is what I meant. Civil rights leader. Unpopular opinion. Let's increase funding for the police, specifically for implicit bias and de-escalation training. We can say fund the police, or we can say that's for sissies. As long as we're defunding the other stuff, then fine. I'm inclined to go along with the civil rights leader in the game. I don't know if he's going to give us like a better option if we say that's for sissies and is like, okay, well, here's some real shit. Some of the choices you make in this game mean that you don't get to see other choices, which is frustrating. We'll do it. Let's see. Treasurer. Investors are avoiding the financial transaction tax by trading abroad. We need to coordinate internationally. Yeah, let's call the EU. Immigration advisor. Opening the southern border has increased drugs and human trafficking. We should tighten controls. We can say fair enough, which will cost some money, or we can say not needed. The human trafficking is an issue, to be clear, but the way that the border thing is going to take place, I don't want it. And it's just a matter of winning over or alienating the same voters. I'm going to say not needed. Treasurer. We must impose complete transparency regarding the ownership of offshore companies. Make them disclose, or privacy is a right regarding the ownership of offshore companies. Yeah, no, they don't have the right to privacy. A cable from the Cayman Islands. Money laundering is part of our cultural heritage. You are being insensitive. We've been called out, or embargo them. I don't know that we need to embargo them, but I don't think that's a very good call out. Do I want to embargo the Cayman Islands? No, not really. Artists. Maybe a raven? Or crow? Billionaires are now unable to trade artworks in order to dodge taxes. The art world is doomed. We can say take $1 billion, or we can say artists must suffer. Take $1 billion. Let's fund the arts. And you can see the scale of the money we've been talking about when $1 billion is just that little much. And you can imagine how much that would mean to artists to have that $1 billion. Artist. Oh my God. Nobody has ever given so much money to the arts. And it was just that tiny little amount in the budget. Yes, you're welcome. Treasurer. The financial transaction tax killed high-frequency trading. Nothing to worry. It was just speculation. It's another benefit to the financial transaction tax. It stabilizes the economy, or contributes to stabilizing. The New Pork Times. Profile. His job was to put children in cages. Now former ICE agent struggles to start a new life. What a sad situation for that person. Thank you, New York Times, for reporting the really hard stuff. Job transition. Give legacy workers housing assistance. Some jobs just ain't coming back. Folks may have to move. Housing for all, or no, get in line. Yeah, let's do housing for all. We're winning over voters. Doesn't cost too much. Energy advisor. Energy storage needs to be much cheaper in order to make renewables reliable. Research and develop. Still maintaining the budget. Hopefully, we need to make a difference in the carbon emissions is the big thing. I think we need to do that in order to win the game. But let's see what happens. Rural advisor. Darn Monsanto controls near about all seeds. Y'all have to reform patents because this ain't working for us. Yes, we are going to reform that. And that basically caps out our people power. That's great. But yeah, if you're not familiar, Monsanto controls seeds. The DNA of the seeds is patented, and that means people can't save their seeds. They don't get to sell the seeds themselves if they have more as a farmer. It's basically rendering your consumers utterly dependent on you. And I don't think you should be able to patent life, for one thing. And just conceptually, you shouldn't be able to patent anything that can self-replicate. But yes, you should not be able to patent life itself either. Lobbyist. I guess we could bring a couple of factories back to the US. You just have to sweeten the deal. Here's some sugar, which would put us into the red, or no deal. Yeah, get out of here. Press secretary. I sense a disturbance in the media. Some powerful people are plotting a smear campaign against us. I guess we're going to have to do something about that. Treasurer. I bet if politicians had to publish their tax returns, they'd be less inclined to use and defend tax havens. We can do that. Yes. Democrat. Oof. Publishing our tax returns made our base realize that we are in fact quite wealthy. And that alienates some voters. Maybe we gotta deal with that. Fox News. Scandalgate. Leaked email reveal the Democratic Party's dirty secrets. Yeah, maybe that's something we should deal with the Democrats. The Newport Times. Regarding Scandalgate, are you apologizing to the offended sex worker? Yes. I do. I apologize. Energy advisor. Geothermal energy. Less iconic and competitive than other renewables. Still pretty clean. Yeah, why not? Yeah, that'll bring our emissions down. It does cost some money, but not a whole lot. Energy advisor. So the solar roof idea turned out to be impractical, but hey, people love the concept. So won over people, but didn't make a difference with emissions. Is that what happened? Fox News. The Scandalgate email revealed that there are illegal immigrants interning for the government. Minutia or affirmative action? What does that mean? Minutia says no big deal. Affirmative action. Yeah, let's call it affirmative action. Great. Fox News. Judging by the Scandalgate receipts, you seem awfully concerned for your personal safety. It's normal, or I overindulged. It looks like I can sacrifice more of the other voters if I say it's normal, so we'll just go with that. Economist. Do you want jobs? Cut corporate taxes and they'll just happen. That's how the economy works. That is not true. We're going to go nice try. Jacqueline Magazine. Scandalgate is a distraction and we need to stop talking about it. Headline article. Hopefully the substance of the article talks about other things. Environmentalists. Oh my god, are we still subsidizing oil exploration? Isn't it so 20th century? Yeah, let's stop the subsidies. Oh, look at that. That helps us. Hopefully we'll get the carbon emissions all the way down. The Newport Times. What about all the private jet flights emerged from the Scandalgate leak? Yeah, we will fly less. We will do that. Pushes away the internationalists. Interesting. Treasurer. Higher immigration pushed wages down a bit, but also increased growth and tax revenues. That's something they talk about in the Open Borders book. This idea that immigration has a net cost is absurd because it also increases funds. And the Open Borders book makes the detailed case for why it actually will skyrocket funds in that way. But yes, I agree. That's good. And we're now out of the deficit. Treasurer, do you want to be loved? Tax cuts for the middle class. And by middle class, I mean everybody. The middle class is a myth, or everybody gets a cut. Wins over a lot of voters, puts us a little bit into the deficit. But yeah, it does make a big difference with voters. Sure, why not? Healthcare advisor. The influx from the open border is putting stress on our welfare system. I recommend a major investment. Why not? Okay, now we're dipping a little lower into the deficit, or I'd rather not. On our welfare system. This is healthcare advisor. Our people power is super high already. We'll pay for it later. That's what I'm going with. Rural advisor, all that fake plant-based meat is damaging the cattle industry. Ban it for good. I'm not gonna ban plant-based meat. That's absurd. That's my rural advisor? Come on, think more critically here, intersectionally. No, it's sustainable. I'm no fan of inspections, but Donald Skunk has lowered food standards and screwed up honest folks. Yeah, raise the standards. I'm with that. Job transition. Old miners ain't gonna learn to code. Offer them a generous early retirement. They deserve it. Costs some, not a lot. Their employers should. Honestly, their employers should. Can I just make that happen? I'm gonna say that's what I'm doing in this game. Their employers should, and they will in this game. Lobbyist. Because of your absurd pay gap tax, CEOs are now making only 50 times more than the average employees. The average pay gap for CEOs to median worker is 400 right now, if that gives you some idea. Last I was looking into it anyway. So that's a huge difference. Oh yeah, win over the voters. Treasurer. Taxing financial transactions reduced the trading volume. The revenues are lower than we hoped. That's fine. Oh, but why does our budget go down just because revenues are lower? Because I guess we were budgeting for, I don't know. Anyway, defense advisor. We detected subversive activity. I advise you to increase funding for the Secret Service. It's for your personal safety. Shit. Might be. Can I really get cooed this close to the end of the game? I'm gonna call it wasteful. If they're gonna coup me, they're gonna coup me. The New Pork Times profile. The Dapper Nazi. Economic anxiety and radical reforms are making the far right cool again. So frustrating. This is actual coverage that they were doing for years. They gave fucking Richard Spencer a whole profile, and he calls himself a white nationalist. What does that mean? It means he's a Nazi. That's what Nazism is. Nazism is white nationalism. Yeah, enraging. This is borderline not satire. It's just what they were doing. Anyway, get out of here. Press secretary, it's time to meet your adoring crowds. How should we get to the parade? Armored SUV or public transportation? We'll go public. Let's do it. I don't think we're in danger here. We'll see what happens. The New Pork Times. President assassinated. Gunman screams, "Hail Hitler" before shooting. The motive is unknown. Oh no. Oh my God. I have not gotten this ending before. Oh my God. Wow. They were really telling the truth when they detected subversive activity. I did make it to the next elections. What happens here? I had no idea that getting assassinated by a rando Hail Hitler dude was a possible ending in this game. Okay, what happens? Game over. You have been assassinated. You should be flattered. It happens to the best American leaders. Not wrong. I made it to the end. That was like a buzzer shot. I think I won. I think that was it. I think that I'm going to take that. I'm going to call that a win. Win out with a bang. So, yeah, I guess that's one of the endings that you can get. That was new for me. Fun. I'm going to switch over to my Twitch stream over here. Oh, look at that. Someone was watching. The New Pork Times. I wish we had that newspaper in real life. Hello, Dark Sage 9117. Really cool to have the first chat member that I don't know who you are and is not my friend Yogurt telling me that the lighting and sound is good or not. So welcome. Glad to have you participate. Yeah, the New Pork Times segments are some of my favorite in the game. That was really fun. Try it out. Try out the game. See what happens. You can install it on your phone as an app, or you can get it on stream or whatever. It's really handy for practicing the dialectic of balancing voter interests and electoral sustainability with funds and what is the just thing to do, as well as how you appear in the media. It's fun. And with cute animals too. They have another game I'm going to try at some point called The Green New Deal. I haven't actually played that one at all. But yeah, try out the game, see if you get cooed, see if you get assassinated, see if you make it all the way through just fine. And thank you so much for joining. I'll figure out what the next game I'm going to do is, and I'll see you here next time. Thank you all so much. This was fun. Cheers, everyone. Have a good one. Take care.